right, y'all, as a lifelong Arkansan, I feel like I know a great deal about our natural state, but even those like me who have called this state home, we don't know everything about our home state. So starting this week and every week, we're going to be answering some questions, big and small. This morning, one that has puzzled us for years now. How in the world do we pronounce the name of that one particular town down in southeast Arkansas? Well, that's a great question. In the middle of Arkansas County lies the beautiful town of DeWitt, or DeWitt. Now, this debate is carried on how to pronounce the name of this small town since it was played at a town site in 1854. So we went to the source, Mayor James Black Jr.
I could see how you might say that it would be called DeWitt, but I was quickly corrected by some of the townsfolk and said, no, it's DeWitt.
Slips of paper were drawn to determine who would get to pick the town name. Surveyor Adam McCool won the right and chose to honor DeWitt Clinton, a New York politician and sponsor of the Erie Canal.
They wanted to name the town Clinton, okay, but of course there was already a town named Clinton in North Arkansas, so then they settled with DeWitt.
Now, they may have settled on DeWitt, but this population of nearly 3,000 sure is proud of their small town.
Been here for 32 years, and I really like living here. My wife and I do.
Morning, we're diving into a question from an Arkansan, or an Arkansawyer, or an Arkansian. What exactly is the correct term for someone from Arkansas? That's a great question. Our home officially became a state in 1836 as the 25th state admitted to the Union. Today, natives of our state are commonly referred to as Arkansans. However, that is not the only true term for us natural state natives. State historian and director of the State Archives, Dr. David Ware, says we have three.
Arkansian shows up in the 1840s, and it's really the first term that we know used to denote people from Arkansas. Arkansan, basically Arkansian was somebody who's lost an eye along the way. Hey, maybe it was a typographical error. That appears in the 1850s. Arkansawyer is a term that first appears in print, as far as we know, in the mid-1870s.
Dr. Ware says it all goes back to the Eclectic Society of Little Rock and the State Historical Society coming together and deciding once and for all how to pronounce and spell our state's name.
They put their heads together and came up with a lovely compromise that it would be spelled one way and pronounced the other, and the legislature signs onto it in 1881.
It is Arkansas Code Title I, General Provisions 14105, Pronunciation of Arkansas.
Whereas confusion of practice has arisen in the pronunciation of the name of our state, and it is deemed important that the true pronunciation should be determined for use in oral official proceedings, and whereas the matter has been thoroughly investigated by the Historical Society of the State of Arkansas and the Eclectic Society of Little Rock, which have agreed upon the correct pronunciation as derived from history and the early usage of the American immigrants, etc., etc.
In layman's terms, spell it Arkansas, pronounce it Arkansas. So for us natives, is it correct to call us Arkansawyers?
If you're comfortable with being called an Arkansawyer, it's not a term of derision, and it's one of the traditional words for people who come from here.
Why is North Little Rock commonly referred to as Dogtown? Well, that's a great question. The city's love for dogs is hard to miss when you walk through the historic Argenta district. But this term Dogtown was originally not a friendly one from those who called the North Side home, especially in the mid-20th century.
Football games between North Little Rock and the Little Rock schools, and how they would call us dogs, and it was very derogatory.
Director of the North Little Rock History Commission, Sandra Taylor Smith, says there are two theories about how the town got its nickname.
We were like the blue-collar, kind of gritty part of central Arkansas, and they looked down on the blue-collar workers over here. Another theory is we were part of the city of Little Rock from 1890 to 1904, and we broke away. We seceded from Little Rock's, being Little Rock's 8th Ward, in 1904, and they started throwing dogs in the river. And they came up over here because it was the low side of the river, and we took care of them and fed them.
Now, historically, natives of North Little Rock found the term offensive. The city even had a funeral for the nickname.
In 1965, Mayor Casey Lehman buried Dogtown with a casket and a tombstone, born of apathy and citizen pride.
While one generation killed the term, another has embraced it.
Absolutely, our Visitors Bureau has shirts, and yeah, people are really embracing it, so, why not?
Despite beginning as a name of disrespect in the 1870s, many in North Little Rock now wear it as a badge of honor for those who took in the dogs all those years ago.
Endearing kind of thing now. I'm happy to say we took the dogs, so.
How does a dry county become a wet county? Well, that's a great question. The day after an election, there's always winners and losers who may want to celebrate with an adult beverage or drown their sorrows. However, how far a trip to the store to purchase alcohol depends on what county you live in.
You could be one individual citizen that says, I'm going to make this happen. I want my county to be wet. That's probably not going to cut it.
Scott Harden is a spokesperson for the Alcoholic Beverage Control, who says changing a county from dry to wet is no easy task.
You have to have a group or citizens that get together and lead this effort or a petition, and they have to gather signatures from 38% of registered voters in the county.
For example, if there are 10,000 registered voters in a county, the petition would need at least 3,800 signatures.
It sounds impossible. It's been something that's been argued. That's been the rule since 1993. So prior to that, it was 15%. It was a little more manageable.
However, in the past 4 years, 3 counties have successfully transitioned from a dry to a wet county.
Surprisingly, you see counties that do it. You see Randolph County in 2018. They got it on the ballot. They went wet. You saw Sevier County in 2020 do it. You saw Van Buren County in 2020 do it.
If and when a county decides to go wet, ABC issues 1 retail liquor permit for every 7,500 residents. While the number of liquor stores are limited based on population, there is not a limit to the number of beer and wine permits. Simple answer:
if counties want it, they can make it happen.
We're actually going to dive into a question from a viewer in Faulkner County. Why does Conway have so many roundabouts? Well, that's a great question. Conway, Arkansas, home of the Wampus Cats, the city of colleges, and roundabouts.
You asked the question, why does Conway have so many roundabouts? And I would answer that question, first of all, with another question. That's, why do other towns not have more roundabouts?
Kurt Jones is the director of transportation for the city of Conway. He says it all started about 15 years ago with one bad intersection that needed a change.
Everyone hated it. The city engineer and the mayor at that time thought, we can't make it any worse. Let's put a roundabout there.
Jones says roundabouts are not only safer, but they're also a lot cheaper. The city has spent so far this year nearly $300,000 on signal maintenance.
Our maintenance on the roundabouts is essentially mowing them. There's a little bit of, landscaping in some of the roundabouts that we maintain, but overall the maintenance cost is significantly less for a roundabout versus a signal.
The city currently has 31 roundabouts, and that number very well could increase.
People get excited here in Conway when we announce a roundabout. We had someone, I guess he was actually kind of hovering around waiting for us to open the thing up. He wanted to be the first one through it. So he could post on social media that, hey, I just went through the new roundabout.
First one around a roundabout. Remember, if you have a question you'd like to get answered, just text us 501-376-1111. And that's one thing you just always known about Conway. They got roundabouts. It's just what they have.
Yeah, first time I traveled through Conway, I was like, what is going on? I've never seen so many roundabouts in my life.
I love it. And according to the studies now, they're safer.
Yeah.
They're cheaper to maintain. We just talked about those numbers. I mean, Conway, maybe they're just ahead of the curve.
That's good. Well, who knows? It could be record-breaking maybe for roundabouts. I know there's one city out there that has a lot more, but maybe Conway's trying to climb up the competition ladder.
There you go.